Hello and welcome back. My guest today is Rachel, who is a life coach who has had several different interesting experiences, including but not limited to out-of-body experiences, and she's going to share that with us today. Rachel, how you doing? Thank you for joining me.
Good, thanks, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing good. I guess you can pretty much just start at any point that's relevant to your story or your experience.
Yeah, well, I guess I could probably start from when I was a child. I think I always had, I spent a lot of time in nature and observing nature. And I was an artist, or I still am an artist, as a child, and spent a lot of time drawing and creating and really tuning into my creative side, which I've come to understand is my intuition. And so I've sort of had that gift my whole life, and really I knew that I could see things differently, and I was very in tune with what was going on around me. And so I spent so much time in nature and observing, I don't know, birds and animals and trees and that sort of thing, and I just felt in tune with nature. um, but as I grew up as an adult, I had quite a few challenges in life. I guess a lot of challenges sort of teach you different things, but also push you outside of your comfort zone and into a new part of life in terms of your growth, your personal growth. So I've always been interested in personal growth. And when I was young, I had quite a few traumatic experiences in terms of, people dying and leaving and that sort of thing. So, but as I grew into an adult, so I suppose it meant that I was more resilient. But I knew that there was something else out there. Like there was something about me that I needed to explore further. So when I was probably in my late 30s, I'd had three children. I was sort of trying to deal with a lot of different things that had happened to me. And I was feeling so down. I wasn't depressed, but I was just not happy in myself. And so I decided to to take some action and do some personal development, which I'd never really done before. I'd never seen a psychologist. I'd never explored that side of myself. Just thought, oh, this is just life, and life happens and bad things happen all the time. And so, but I knew that I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to be a happy person. And what is happiness? And I'm just constantly asking questions, being curious. And I went to this event that was pretty life-changing for me. It was run by some American guys who came out to Australia, and they were just teaching people how to discover what their passions and purpose were. And before then, I hadn't really sort of thought about that. But I've always been very driven to find my purpose, even though I didn't know that I was doing that. Anyway, I was sitting in a room full of probably over 100 people who were in the same position as me, not happy with their job or their career choice, bogged down by, just things in their lives, and they wanted to create some change. And that was kind of a pivotal moment at that time. And I went to a few more of these events, and I happened to sit next to this guy who was Scottish, and we got chatting and went out for lunch. And as I was sitting there having lunch with him, I had this really weird thing happen where I looked into his eyes and I saw like a flash in his eyes, and it was almost like a bolt of lightning hit me at that time. And I was just like, what? What actually just happened? It was just so strange. It was almost like I could see into his soul. And I don't know how to explain that, but anyway, I told him what I'd seen, and he started to explain to me that I'd just had an awakening experience, like I don't know how he explained it at that time, because my head was spinning and I was a bit confused. Anyway, he started talking to me about that and what that means, and he turned out to be a coach, and he started to help me unpack a whole range of different things that I'd been asking questions about. And he introduced me to the concept of, being an essence, being a soul. You're a soul in a human body, and you're trying to have a human experience, but your soul's trying to guide you. and how to actually tune into that. So that was such a huge gift that he gave me to open my eyes to that. And so I decided to become a coach myself so I could help other people understand that as well. So that was probably the first big experience. And so when he started to teach me about how to be more awakened, it was so weird. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but everything was magnified. Like I could see things more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I was seeing signs everywhere of messages that I was being sent, and not just numbers, but like even billboards telling me things, like little messages and ads on TV. And at first I thought I was just imagining it. And I thought I was going a bit crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't tell anyone about it because I was like, oh, people think I'm a bit weird. But it was just a real knowing of different, it's a different knowing. And I could actually tune in more, even more to people. And so I just decided to use that to try and help others through coaching. And so that sort of happened for a while, and then life got in the way and I just didn't really focus on it much. And then during COVID, actually, a few things happened where, I had this epiphany where I still wasn't happy and I needed to get back into my spirituality and really tune into myself and really understand who I was, because I felt like I'd sort of lived my life for everyone else and not for me. And I knew that the real me wasn't here on this earth. So I tried to just tune a bit more to what my needs were and what is it that I really want. And unfortunately, that led to my marriage breakdown. And that was another huge traumatic experience. And I feel like as soon as I made the decision to work on my spirituality again and my awakening experiences, all these bad things started happening again. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I suppose I've come to know that as the dark night of the soul. And it was just like my old persona was dying, and I had to go through all these dark moments, but it was testing me every time to see how I could push through. And so that has been such an amazing experience, even though it was hard. Every time something came across, I was so aware of it. Every time something came to me, I was in tune with it, and I knew that I had to try and push through and overcome any challenges that were coming along. And so and every time that happened, it pushed me even further into outside my comfort zone, but into becoming more confident, becoming more the person that I want to be. And so, so it's just been amazing. And the out of body experiences, it's more like tuning into that third eye, and just having like I can actually remove myself from myself, if you can sort of understand what that means.
Yeah.
Because I know that because I'm so in tune with my internal voice and my soul, I can actually separate myself from the ego, and the ego that is the human. Yeah, so it's hard to describe how you do that, but I think it takes a lot of time to understand, what that voice is saying, and understanding the difference between your intuition and your ego, when your ego is talking to you and when your intuition is trying to tell you things. So, but yeah, it's been a wild ride, I've got to say.
And you can do that on command, separate yourself from the body.
If I'm in the right frame of mind, I have to. I'm a fairly calm person anyway, but I have to be quiet and calm and just. But yeah, I'm finding it a lot easier to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've had periods, I mean, even up to present day, where I can feel it start to happen, and then the ego gets real loud and starts freaking out, like what's going on, and then it
Yeah.
shuts it off. It's kind of a scary
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
and it's
It is. Yeah.
so people, like, if there's a way, do you think everybody's able to do that if they want to?
I think if yeah, I think you can. I think everyone's capable. And I think that in a lot of ways, I feel like this is probably a bit controversial, but when I was a kid, because I was creative, I was sort of uh, discouraged from doing that as a career, as being a creative person. And I feel like when you're creative and you're able to be, and everyone is creative, but if you're able to just have some quiet time and, you know, draw or write or whatever you want to do, gardening even, that's when you can tune into your intuition, and that's a power. Like it's actually a powerful force. And I think that in a lot of ways it's been suppressed in some ways.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because people are so powerful and they don't realize it,
Mm-hmm.
and how you can actually manage your thoughts, feelings, and actions, and really that's a superpower. So
Yeah.
everyone's capable of doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always struggle to find a way to help people explain because I mean, like what you just said, discovering that or distinguishing the difference between the ego and the intuition. And there's a lot of people who are really into spirituality and really have a desire to, become more in tuned and awakened, but they have that ego knob cranked all the way up and they mistaken that for the intuition, you know?
Yep.
And I still struggle with a way to adequately describe how to turn that down and what the difference is. Have you figured out a way to explain that to people? Because I still struggle with that.
Yeah, well, I think it's more about being in tune with the thoughts that come into your mind. And that's part of how you awaken too, because you can actually hear the thoughts. And sometimes, and I've got a few coaching techniques that we use as well to clear out those the blockages and the egos that are sitting in your body. And you can usually feel it in your body as well. So if you start to feel fear, for example, you might feel tightness in your chest. So you might think something. So you might think, oh, I've got an interview coming up, I'm really nervous. And you can actually feel it. If you're conscious of feeling it somewhere in your body, then you can do something about that. So you can maybe do some breathing exercises, or um, think the opposite thought, and tell yourself an affirmation just to empower your thoughts rather than thinking negatively. So it's really about being in tune with that first thought that comes into your head, which is really hard to master at first because you have thousands of thoughts going in your head all the time. But it's what you're telling yourself as well. So you're actually telling yourself something, but you can actually tell yourself the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the first step, really, is to just be in tune with what you're thinking.
Yeah, well, some people like I've had people say to me, "Well, I tried that and that doesn't work," and to me that sounds like an overweight person saying, "Well, I did some sit-ups yesterday and I'm still overweight," you know. So it's like a retraining of the brain that it's
That's what coaching does too. It's rewiring the brain, because when you have a thought, you make a connection in your brain, and the connection actually, once it's connected, there's this layer of fat that goes around it that secures that thought in your mind.
hmm,
And the more you think that, the layers of fat just keep going around that connection. So
really.
you believe, yeah. So you believe it. You actually believe that thought. But if you can actually retrain the brain, and there's a few different techniques to do that, um, and really tackle the subconscious brain or subconscious mind, then you can actually rewire your brain.
What
Or
are
you
some?
can trick the brain. You can actually trick the brain into thinking a different way.
Yeah, what are some of those techniques? Because on my journey, I've had to. I would hear people explain something like that, like what you just said, and then I would have to sit and try to figure it out myself. And I mean, it worked for me. I don't know if I do it right. Are there any other like techniques that maybe other people
Yep.
could utilize?
Yep. Yeah, there's one called shadow values, where say, for example, if you want to lose weight, you can trick the brain by using your shadow values. And by that, I mean, They're usually about control. Like a lot of people like to have control. There's attention. If you love attention, that's the shadow value as well. Validation, which is a huge one for people. You can actually use those to your advantage. So, for example, I like to be in control of my life and my what I eat, my body, and everything. Another one is rebellion. So, if I make a conscious decision that I'm going to lose weight, then if I go to reach for something that I shouldn't be eating, so chocolate biscuits or something like that, I can say to my brain, no, I'm going to be a rebel right now, and I'm not going to fall for that trap. And I'm not going to eat those biscuits. So you can actually use your rebellion, like your rebellious side of yourself, of your personality, to rebel against the ego. So, and it's really about understanding what your shadow values are to start with and how you can use them to your advantage.
Yeah.
They're usually values that we've been told are bad, like rebellion or seeking validation or attention as a kid. And we're told, oh, don't brag, or don't be don't try and seek attention. That's not good. But it's in you. It's actually innate in you. So why not use it to your advantage?
Yeah, that's interesting. I never even thought about that. What are some of the ways that somebody can kind of identify some of those shadow values?
Well, I can coach them through that.
Oh,
There's
okay.
actually a that you use. It's quite a specific technique to a set of questions to ask that identifies those values.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about that experience you had where you saw that flash in somebody's eyes? Do you think that may have been like your higher self trying to get your attention, that maybe this is somebody you need in your life? Or did you ever figure out what that experience was all about?
I don't think I've ever had a full explanation of what that was, or I haven't really figured out, because at first I thought it was another person. Like I thought I could see another person's eyes in his eyes. But it's possible that it was my higher self, yes. And I've had experiences since then with like a similar sort of feeling when I embraced someone. And it was like a bolt of lightning, like you might say, oh, that happens if you have an attraction to someone, but it was more than that.
Yeah, I know what you
And
mean.
I don't know if it was twin flame experience, because I've had a few experiences like that where there's like an intense attraction to someone, or a soul connection, like a really deep soul connection. Because with one particular person, we have a very deep soul connection that's unexplainable. Yeah, and there's a few different things that have happened since that day. So I think it was probably my higher self just waking me up, really.
I'll tell you what it reminded me of when you first said that. I don't know if you caught it, but I just uploaded an interview on this channel about an hour or so ago with a buddy of mine who's also a fellow YouTuber, Case Parks, with the YouTube channel Everyday Masters. And he's a reconnective healing practitioner, and he reconnected me. So I'm able to lay down and pull this energy in, and it feels like electricity running through my body. And I do it every day. And preferably, I like it to be in a quiet room, like laying in bed, and I'll wave my hands around, and it feels like electricity shooting through my arm and then through my whole body. But if something makes a noise, like if one of the cats knocks something over, as soon as I hear that noise, a white flash shoots through my eyes, and a bolt of what feels like lightning shoots through my body when I hear a noise, when I'm in that state. And that's kind of what that reminded me of. So I didn't know
Yeah.
if that, because I'm constantly trying to figure out, why does that do that? Whenever I'm in this state of being bathed in this energy and these frequencies, every time I hear a noise, I see what looks like well, it's not really white light, it's like purple light. like a flash of purple light, and it feels like a lightning bolt shoots through my body, and it's super weird.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated and I'm exploring energy and energetic healing. And I'm the same. Like I like to do energetic, what's it called? Clearing, I suppose, and clearing the chakras. And I've done quite a few meditations around that, and it's an amazing experience. Yeah, it's an amazing feeling having that energy through your body and being in touch with the energy.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by energetic healing, where you can actually heal people without being in the room with them or being near them. So, yeah, it's an amazing thing that I think the more I learn about energy, uh, it makes sense. And especially when you are interacting with someone and the energies that you give off with people. And part of my work is around helping people build rapport. And that's everything about energy and energetic exchange. Um, yeah, I learned from a coach and mentor that taught me how to coach, who was different to my personal coach. Um, and everything he talks about is energy. Everything's energy, including money, including just everything about, the energy that you feel off nature. And yeah, so that's why it's so good to be in nature, because there's so much energy that you can actually feed off. Because we are part of nature. We always sort of think of ourselves as being on earth, but we're actually part of the earth. So um, tuning into that is a really critical piece, I think, in terms of being awakened.
And like what I was just talking about with the reconnective healing frequencies, whenever I hear energy, me personally, when I hear that word, it's I never really pictured it as something very tangible, but this is the like I can hold my hand up and it literally feels like somebody's holding my hand and it'll start moving my arm around. Like
Wow.
it's you feel it like just like I can feel this pin and it's blows my mind. So I've been playing with that for about the last 6-8 months, something like that, and I still don't even have any words for that really. That's probably what I should start dabbling into next, but I'm a little bit too nervous for that because I can't explain it.
Yeah. It's fascinating though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So,
Go ahead.
and it's I think everything comes back to how you feel too. Because that feeling that you get when energy is rushing through your body, or when you can actually feel something that's not tangible, um, it's a feeling of bliss in a way. And I actually think that that's part of happiness,
Mm-hmm.
is being totally in tune with who you are, like yourself. Um, because ultimately, we talk about God and a higher source. You are actually the higher source, but you're
Mm-hmm.
actually getting into touch with that. And that's a pretty magical feeling.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I don't know. I really feel like it. Part of my journey and part of my reason for being here is to do the best that I can to help as many people get in touch with that as possible. And it almost you don't want it, and you find yourself in kind of a trap sometimes. I do because it's like the harder I try, of course, and knowing how manifestation works too. If I try to force something, then it's going to fight against me. So finding that balance and the perfect thing to say the right way. It's a learning
Yeah,
experience.
I think that's where the ego comes in, because that's kind of like a shadow value, really, is that need to be perfect, and to get everything right all the time. But if we actually tune into our higher self, we actually get the answers channeled to us, which is not an easy thing to do. Um, but I think what I've learned, because I've always been a very caring person, that basically it's love. is if you come at everyone with love and compassion, then it actually just comes naturally. Whereas if you're actually trying to force something or struggling to get it right, then you're actually not loving yourself in that moment either, because you're actually allowing the ego to control you. But if you actually let go, and this is a thing that I'm still trying to learn as well, is and the word that comes to mind is surrender. You just have to surrender to whatever's going to happen. And same with coming on this interview this morning, I was thinking, I have to prepare, I have to have notes and everything, just in case I don't know what I'm saying or I forget what I'm saying. But no, I have to actually trust myself that it'll come to me when I'm having the conversation.
Yeah, that is kind of rough. And kind of also too, like going back to what you were saying earlier about something to the effect of once you start working on your spirituality, seems like bad things start happening. And it's like, I'm making a frequency change. It's like turning the radio dial. Okay, I'm done with this frequency. Now I'm tuning into a new one. And everything that's not going to that new frequency with me is going to be pulled away. Like you said, the marriage. And I think that's one thing that keeps people locked into place, is because they'll take a few steps in the right direction, and then the universe is like, oh, okay, so we're going to clear the way for new stuff to come in. And then they get scared and they cling to a person or a job or a house or whatever the case may be,
Yeah, it can get really confusing. And yeah, I think I'm the same as you. I feel like I need to help people who are going through that understand what's happening and how to actually push through those times, because you have to be really strong and resilient to be able to understand what's happening to you. And I still don't understand it half the time.
I don't think any of us do fully.
If I didn't have the skills that I had through coaching and being taught about egos and being shown different ways to really focus on my self-care and self-love, then I don't think I probably would have clung on to things. And I still do that. I can still see myself doing that. And you just don't know what's going to happen next, where it's going to take you. And that's kind of scary. It's very uncertain. And I keep hearing messages, just keep trusting, and that you're on the right path, and that you're safe. And I think using the energy to protect yourself is a really powerful way to feel safe too. Mm-hmm. Putting an energy force around you. I've done a few meditations like that really help me. Maybe it's just tricking my brain to think that I'm safe and to feel safe, but it actually does work. So,
well, yeah, I mean, because that's the thing, is if you believe it, then it's true at the end of the day, to what degree, at the end of the day, I can't, if this person standing next to me totally 100% believes in something, and they can point to all these facts and all this evidence that they have, but in my eyes, it's like, no, that's bullshit. But who am I to tell them? Because in their world, that is true, So like, even if you are just tricking your brain, like whatever, I mean, that's still the way this whole game works, I don't think any of us like ever fully have it figured out, No. And that's the tricky part, because, people like me and those of us who are like trying to help people, I've been working really, really hard throughout my career to let people understand I'm just a regular person too. I don't have this all figured out. I'm learning as I go. And then once I learn something, I'll bring it to you guys and share with you what I learned. And I'm still like, that ego voice still creeps up and says, you don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot. You don't give good advice. And, and that's just part of the journey, I think, is conquering that.
Yeah, definitely. I've sought out so many teachers. I've learned from DeMartini. I'm not sure if you've heard of him.
Sounds kind of familiar.
Dr. Demartini's amazing. Yeah, I've sought out a lot of tarot readers as well, spiritual advisors, just so many people I'm learning from to, and you can take bits and pieces from each person that suit you, because every individual is different. Every person's experience is different. So everyone's past is different too. And so it's not a one size fits all answer, really. And it's really up to the individual to seek answers from the right sources.
So after this video gets uploaded, there will probably be people who want to reach out to you. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Would it be all right if I link your contact information in the description?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Well, did you have anything else, any other positive messages maybe to share with the audience before we wrap it up?
I think I just want to say, I want to say thank you to people like you, Rich, who are putting yourself out there, because it's quite a daunting thing to talk about this part of our lives, because it's something that a lot of people shy away from, or they think it's a bit woo-woo or it's a bit strange. But I think that more people are embracing their spirituality and really seeking answers. So I think it's really fantastic that, that you do go outside your comfort zone and that you've put yourself out there. And so I want to thank you and everyone else on YouTube who are doing this. I've been sort of contemplating it myself. I'm not really a video person, but I've been getting some pushes from the universe to try and put myself out there more and talk. So that's why I came on today, just to have a chat with you. And so I think, and if anyone is sort of confused or they're going through something that they're, that's blowing their mind right now, or they're just really feeling like they're out of their depth, then there are people to help. And that there are quite a few voices out there who are really sort of going through the same thing, I guess. And it's really good to be able to explore ways that you can be helped. So just thank you for the opportunity. It's been really great.
Absolutely. Yeah, it can be pretty daunting when you volunteer for this job and you shine a big spotlight on the darkness. All the broken people get exposed and makes you target for attack, so it can be pretty daunting sometimes. This is duality, so there's positives and negatives to everything. But anyway, I greatly appreciate you coming on here. I will have any contact information for you linked in the description of the video if anybody wants to check that out. Other than that, though, I appreciate you coming on, and you have a good day, okay?
Thanks.